Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Nuts and bolts here again. Another week. It's getting we've been exciting this last week, hasn't it, Natty?
Been huge. Like it feels like all the end of year tournaments are wrapping up at the moment. So
Mm.
we've got like action from everywhere, and then like not to spoil anything, but announcements for stuff happening next year as well. Which like my brain is not ready for 2023.
No, I'm like I'm gonna really freaking just hate myself for saying this, but it's like 6 weeks until 2023, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
No, I'm not ready.
It's not ready for that to be over. Like Christmas decorations are in shops. Damn it! This is not. No, I'm not ready for that either. But yeah.
No, but like
Oh,
there's lots of decorations that go up on my street, and they've
mm,
been like putting up Christmas decorations as soon as all the Halloween ones went
yeah.
away, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not
Yeah.
ready.
Look, I was talking to someone, and once again, this is way off topic, but I'm interested in this because the decoration side of it. I tried to do that to my house once, and it's a lot of effort to put it. Like
Mm,
even I didn't have many lights; it was a lot of effort to put it up. And the people that have so many lights, I can understand why they put them up because they just want them to have them up longer and get shown off. So
yeah,
I guess the house is doing the lights. I don't mind so much, but when shops are selling all their Christmas decorations, and I know that's what shops do. There's like I remember working in retail, and it was okay, cool. So here's our plan for the year. We've got our back to school sale. When that finishes, we're gonna start flogging Valentine's Day, and when that finishes, there's something else, and then Mother's Day, and then end of financial year, Father's Day. Like they just
yeah.
yeah. As soon as one thing finished, they were on to the next. But
Yeah, that's that seasonal area of your retail store that is just
mm,
always full of something
mm,
to buy that's based on the time of year it
yeah.
is.
And just quietly, there is one thing that I don't mind appearing in shops early, and that's hot cross buns. I will
Oh,
take
yeah,
hot
I
cross
will
buns any day of the week.
never complain about that.
No, but anyway, let's that's enough about retail and seasons because we still got esports seasons happening at the moment. We're
Yes.
almost to the end of season 4 of the ANZB League and season 5 of the ANZ Premier League in World of Tanks. So let's jump into some of that because like it's getting exciting. We're in playoffs for both of them. So let's quickly recap some of the PL games from last week. So first up, we had the Adelaide Action X versus the Comets in the lower bracket final there. And look, I've said before, I've been super impressed with the Comets season. This is their first year after being promoted from the B League. They brought. I feel like they've breathed a breath of fresh air into the league, and just because they do things differently, they do unexpected things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they're trying different things. And so I was excited to see them come up against the Action X in this final. Uh, they had some good ideas to start with, but Action X just seemed to. They've had a great last few weeks. Like they have just been on the ball. They have been making plays for their life. And CJ like getting air in his tank off there to try and get in and get this reset shot. Like it must what did it get down to? I think about 2 or 3 seconds before he got the reset shot in on the Comet set to stop that cap play in the first game. And that really was just the Action X are just that team at the moment. They're able to find the wins and they're just playing so well together. So it'll probably come as no surprise to anybody that they took that win 4-0. And I know Natty in particular, you'll be very very happy with that.
You can see for the people listening to the podcast, I have a giant grin on my face. People can see that live at Twitch. Um, it's very, very cool. I'm very, very excited.
So so we moved on after then and went on to the Scorpions versus the Sentinels. So look, this one was going to be an interesting one. I thought because the Scorpions had a tiebreaker win over the Sentinels during the season, and the Sentinels had an outright win over the Scorpions. So they were pretty evenly matched, and Scorpions ended up finishing on top a little bit because of your Action X there, Natty, because they beat the Sentinels
Mm.
twice during regular season. So, yeah, it was always going to be a very interesting game with because these two teams are by far and away the best two teams in the league. So it's always a pleasure to watch them play. And really, the way it started, they went 1-for-1. So Sentinels took a game, Scorpions took a game on Siegfried Line. Then the next map, it was 1-1 as well. And it wasn't until Sand River that Sentinels found the overmatch there and took the 2 wins to send them through to the grand final as well. So giving themselves the chance to become 4-time champions. So that would be quite an amazing feat to see.
It would be. I think it's going to be a huge finals.
Definitely. And land finals as well. Let's not forget that. Fortress Melbourne hosting the ANZ Premier League land final right there. So that's going to be exciting to see. But let's head on just so that we can see the results proper. As you can see, Action X defeated the Comets 4-0 and ended the Comets season. Meanwhile, the Sentinels defeated the Scorpions 4-2. So that means this Friday, so tomorrow night, we'll see the Scorpions take on Action X in that Consolidation Final to see who will meet the Sentinels in the grand final there. Look, gotta be honest, Action X have been playing really well, but this is the Scorpions. So I honestly think the Scorpions are gonna win that one, unfortunately, Natty.
No. I mean, you've got to believe the Scorpions are the odds-on favourite, but I really like the momentum behind Action X, and I think that taking the run of the last couple of big wins for them, they could pull it out. Definitely have what do they call it? Boxer's chance, puncher's chance, at least.
Yeah, look, and that's it. And you don't want to write Action X off because they have been playing really well, but you can't help feel that they probably would have had a better chance against the Sentinels, considering they've beaten them twice this season. And the job's just going to be that little bit harder coming up against the Scorpions there. But look, either way, we're going to have a ripper of a grand final there. And like I mentioned, live at Fortress Melbourne on Saturday, the 26th of November. Tickets are available now if you want to get that. If you're heading over to Melbourne, you can check them out on Fortress Melbourne's website there if you want to grab them. There's free tickets that you can grab if you just want to attend. There's also a purchase ticket that you can get as well that gets you a couple little things, and $10 from that ticket goes to Movember as well. So bit of fundraising happening there. Yeah, I like that the World of Tanks does that, because they did the same thing last year with Cure Cancer and Game On Cancer. So some of the proceeds from the grand final went to last season, so earlier this year, they went to Game On Cancer as well. So great to see. But of course, as well, we've got the B League. Now, they're actually up to their grand final. The teams have qualified. But on Monday night, they had the Consolidation Final between the Bundaberg Badgers and the Fremantle Fireflies. Was very excited. I was hoping the Fireflies could make it through. This is their first season as well. But the Badgers just they had their number. And for a team that's more known for their brawling, they kind of just sort of spread out a little bit, and I think the Fireflies were expecting a little bit more of a brawl and kind of set up for that. And while there were still brawls happening, the Badgers just had a much better time of it. I think they had some strats in reserve, so they get to make it to another ANZB League final. So they're 2 in 2 years, 2 in 2 seasons. Sorry, I keep on calling them years. I don't know why.
Seasons.
But, yeah. And the Badgers have only been in the competition two seasons as well, so that's pretty exciting for them. And they will take on the Hawthorn Hellcats, who qualified by beating the Fireflies the week before as well. So Hellcats versus the Badgers for the grand final. That will be the curtain raiser game for the ANZPL Consolidation Final on Friday night. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be watching the B League. That will start at 8 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on Friday the 11th, not Monday as they normally play it. So settle in, watch that, see who takes the win, see who wins in the Consolidation Final to go versus the Sentinels as well. So, and get those tickets to Fortress Melbourne for the Premier League Grand Final. I went to the last one, and it is such a great atmosphere. It's so good to just see live esports events. So get to them if you can.
Yeah, bit sad we can't make it over this time, but will be a great event.
Hell yeah, definitely. But once again, not to be outdone, there are more live esports events that have been happening. So I think both you and I caught the World's 2022 Grand Final over the weekend between T1 and DRX, Natty, and oh my god, what a series! So if you're watching on twitch.tv /Game on Oz right now, you'll be seeing some footage from the last few minutes, and just like I know the storyline was Deft and Faker, but Kingen and Beryl and Zeka and Piosik, they all just played so bloody well. Like seeing Kingen right at the end there, like they DRX have taken that dragon in the last game, but two T1 players have just tried to do a sneaky backdoor into the base, and Kingen's holding off two of these guys before one of his teammates can come to help. And it's just, oh my god, it was just so exciting. And to see a series go the full 5 games as well, it was just incredible.
Yeah, the fact that everybody on these teams were just playing out of their minds. I think we both spoke about somebody doing the Baron steals with Varus.
Oh, yeah, Gumayushi, I think.
Gumayushi, yeah.
3 Baron steals and a Dragon
Baron
steal.
Steals during the 5-game tournament. That's just massive. And there was, so many storylines for this. This is, Beryl is the only support to play for 2 different teams and win 2 finals, which is insane.
It two titles in 3 years, was it? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is crazy. But he deserves some props, man. The amount of times that he would go in and survived by the skin of his teeth to make it out and then come back and harass it. Yeah, it was incredible.
And Beryl was picking some really, unorthodox supports for the last game. He picked, oh shoot, brain is failing me.
Bard on the
last.
Oh
Thank
my God.
you, Bard. You got it. Whose special ability is to be able to tunnel through terrain, so be able to pull your team through quick shortcuts. And typically not what you'd see in the finals, but here he was, showing how flexible his play can be, picking up, all these different supports through the finals. It was just incredible.
Bard hadn't been picked all game, and just because I was watching in a bar here, there was a bar that opened early, so I was sitting there watching the whole thing from 7:30 in the morning, and when that happened, the whole room just went, how they flash the cards around and you see it goes 0% pick. It's just hadn't been picked all tournament. But then Beryl just picks it. And I remember because one of the people I was watching it with was going through the League of Legends Reddit, and there was one comment in there that said something like, I don't know how Beryl can walk around with balls that big. Because it's just I mean, but the thing is, it suited the game style they were going with, and it worked for them. And if you're going to pull out a surprise pick, go for it. That's the pick that you want to be making.
Yeah, I certainly cannot say I'm a scholar of drafting and how the teams played up against each other, but I do think that DRX, from general discussion, what the commentators are saying, did seem to get the edge slightly in some of the matchups, and that gave them a little bit of an advantage to play a bit more flexibly, I think.
Yeah, and it was funny because the game sort of went whoever had Various won, and that's how Guma was able to get so many of those steals, was because Various has this arrow ability, and he was just sitting back and firing it at the last second and just magically getting these steals. And Yeah, and it was just, oh my God, like if you haven't watched the VOD, take 5 hours out of whatever you got and just go and watch it because it is just so exciting. And apart from the first game, which T1 won pretty comfortably, I don't think DRX took a tower at all in the first game. The rest were just such a joy to watch. This is peak League of Legends. This is what you want to see. And there's a post that you pointed our way today, Natty, from Kerio, who was a player with T1. Well, he still is a player with T1, I should say. But look, as you can understand, it's an emotional time playing these great big finals, and just with not just the people watching through something like Twitch, but all the people in the stadium. And like, they try and give you noise cancelling headphones, but I can tell you, we could hear on the broadcast all the cheering coming through. So you could only imagine what the players could hear and feel in that sort of environment. And in particular,
sorry to jump in there.
Yeah.
This was LAN in San Francisco, and these were two Korean teams, and the crowd was just going off. I was saying to my hubby, I can't think of any other sport in the world where you'd have two international teams playing in the US and be getting this kind of crowd interaction and enthusiasm and loudness. It was nuts.
Oh yeah. But a little bit of heartbreak for Carrier, because I'm not 100%, but I think he was on DRX last year.
So yeah, he had played as Def's support for a couple of years, and so yeah, I imagine he was just feeling the most bittersweet feeling of your carry getting to win at Worlds, but you not being the support there by their side. That would just be absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, and as you can understand, he was quite upset, quite emotional on the day, and he's released a statement about, because he, well, let's not beat about the bush. He was crying on stage, and like this is not an unexpected thing to me. Like there is that many emotions tied up in a game, not just esports but sports as well. So it's not surprising to me that there was some of that emotion boiled over. But in his statement, he said, "It took a while for me to gather my thoughts and words. I really wanted to hold back my tears, but when I had to face the DRX players and share congratulations, I think I was overtaken with emotion. I don't think I ever cried as much as I did on finals night. The only thought in my head was that I hope to never feel these emotions again. But when I saw the fans supporting and consoling me, regardless of the finals result, I realized I was young and foolish. Because when I first started as a pro, I already knew that this world had winners and losers, that joy and despair coexist, that these were all processes towards my goal. But on that finals night, even for just a moment, I wanted to run away from these emotions, and I beat myself for feeling that way, even if for a brief moment. This Worlds will motivate me. I will grow, so I will never feel these emotions, and I will only leave good memories with my fans. I will become a player that be a positive impact on my precious fans. Perhaps the future will bring victories with unbounded joy or defeats that bring tears, but I will stay strong in my path if the fans would walk with me on my journey until the very end. Quarters, semis, finals. I continue to run, and my next destination is to win it all. I have realized from this experience that the fans are the source of my motivation and that I will continue to grow as a human being because of them. I truly appreciate you." And that's such a beautiful sentiment that he had there. But there is one thing that I took out of this, because, like I said, this is pinnacle of sports, and if you're not emotionally invested in what you're doing, then you're not going to make it at this sort of level. And the fact that he's showing emotion, to me, like, it's a terrible feeling for him to have, but it's nothing to be ashamed of from my point of view. I think that it makes people human, and it just adds to the emotion of sport, I feel.
I mean, I think coming into the finals, T1 were the favourites, right?
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
expected T1 to win. I think I messaged to you as well. There's a pick'em fantasy league style of thing that they do for Worlds. Not one person in the world picked this run and for DRX to win out of the hundreds of thousands of people that took part. But that sets up really high expectations on the teams and on the players, and Korea as well. If a Korean team loses to another region in the finals, that doesn't get, the team get, I don't want to say they get poorly treated, but it's not good that they lost to a non-Korean team. And I think the assumption is that if you lose, that's the worst. But because it was the two Korean teams facing off against each other, I think the fans were a lot more supportive than they would have been if T1 had lost to an NA or a European or a team from another region. So I think there was a little bit of that tied up into it as well, that kind of cultural expectation and the expectation that they were going to win. Especially after the first game, I think they would have been having really high emotions, thinking that they were going to take it all out, and then DRX fighting back to even it all out and then take it in the end. Certainly sets up that emotion. But I was saying to you, I was crying when I saw Keria crying. Like that was just so heartbreaking. And the fact that the camera was chasing him, like he just wanted to have a cry, and the camera, like he hid behind his monitor, and the camera just like came around the corner and was trying to scope into him. And I just thought, oh, that's so cruel. It's like when they have to interview MMA fighters after a fight, and there was a really famous match where one of the fighters actually ran backstage because they didn't want to have to stay in the ring being upset about their loss. They ran backstage, and I just thought you should be able to let people have a bit of time to process, especially when it's a loss and an unexpected one in that instance. And these are all like 20-year-old, I want to say kids, but they're all still young men that are competing on the stage, and give them a little bit of space and time to process, and then they can come out and be public facing. But I agree with you as well, absolutely. Like, it's a shame that he felt like he needed to apologize for crying.
And I think we were talking a little bit before the show, and you mentioned it does come down to a little bit of a cultural thing as well. And there are different cultures will react differently to this sort of thing. So you don't know the pressures that are on him from that side as well. But look, honestly, for what it's a hard thing to say you're the second best team in the world because you beat so many other teams to get there, but not winning that one game. Like I can only imagine the psychological effects that those have on people as well. And for the game to be so close, like if Kingen wasn't there defending that base, T1 would have won that. It was that close. It was 20, 30 seconds either way, and it could have been a T1 result.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to say as well, just in regard to all of this, if for any older players like you and me and boomers out there, Deft, who was the carry for DRX, is the oldest player to win at a League of Legends event at the ripe old age of 26. So, don't
what is
give
he,
up
like
hope.
25? Oh, no, that's way past my prime. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's... I'll tell you, and one thing that I'm glad about at stuff like this is that losers don't hang around long on stage. They're up there, they say their congratulations and kind of go out the back and just chill with their teammates and reflect. Because one of the things that always bugged me about the AFL in particular, you go watch a grand final, and the team that wins, they're out on the field, they give each and every player a medal. They call them up individually, drape a medal around their neck. There must be 22, 23 players on this side, plus a coach. And then, they'll do the big holding of the cup thing at the end. And while all this is happening, this goes for like 20 minutes. All the while, the opposition team has to still be out on the field. And I can imagine there is nothing worse for a losing team than have to sit there and be shown all this. Like, you want to be gracious losers, but like I said, sport and esports are emotional games, and having to sit there and watch that, I don't think that's a very good thing for the AFL standards.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate how they seem to work it for the LAN events where they let the losing team and the winning team, congratulate each other and commiserate together, and then the losing team does leave the stage. They don't get dragged to hang out on stage while the winning team gets to do all their celebrations.
It's like the Hecarim dance around the stage. Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. Did you hear the explanation of why he was doing that?
It was something. I heard it was something about it was a Hecarim with some speed boost and some item or something. I didn't understand a lot of it, but it was just him doing his little dance. POC doing a dance around the stage to celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it, and hats off to Shots and the interpreter as well for the event. I thought that the post event interview was fantastic, and the one they had with Faker as well just really shows the quality and the knowledge of the interviewers, especially Shots. Asking the right questions after the finals that we wanted to know.
That's right. Well, but that wasn't the only big event over the weekend. So Overwatch League, Overwatch has only been out for Overwatch 2 has only been out for like a month, but they're already having matches and playoffs. So this was the Overwatch League playoff game between San Francisco Shock and Dallas Fuel. So this went down to the wire as well. Best of 7 series went to a 7th game. Got into overtime, and oh my god, it was just everything going all over the place. People just pushing, trying to get the advantage, and eventually Dallas Fuel took the win and became the 2022 Grand Final champions for the Overwatch League playoffs there. And oh my god, I don't follow Overwatch that much. In fact, the first time I'd ever played the game was when Overwatch 2 came out a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't played the original Overwatch, but just watching what was going on and how desperately the players were trying to get into the fight to keep the game going, it was just incredible. And I've got no words. To have 2 series in the same weekend go the full distance, wow. Just wow.
Yeah. Absolutely huge. I really love watching Overwatch competitive because it's just so dynamic, with all the different characters and their skills, things can turn on a dime really quickly. So it does make for a really exciting and interesting event, even if a team's, significantly behind, they can turn it around. And so, huge celebrations. Oh, man, I don't know why. There's something about that moment with the confetti and the teams holding up the cup. It's just, it's beautiful. I think we just, don't see it that much in real life sports because they're not, in those kind of more contained arenas. They're out on a sports oval. We can't really have the massive confetti drop. Not practical.
I think, I'm trying to remember because I'm pretty sure the AFL still do it, but I also haven't watched other big sporting events for in the grand final. Like the AFL's the only grand final that really interests me. I'm not interested in NRL. I'm not interested in rugby union really. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the AFL still doesn't confetti in the winning team colours, which just says to me that they've got 2 separate sets of confetti cannons ready to go. So if the other team wins, they can, push those cannons out instead.
Yeah. Either that or you have the confetti kids running around loading the confetti cannons.
Yeah, that's it. But look, for Dallas Fuel, they came through the top bracket all the way through. You can see their wins, a 3-1, 3-0, 3-1 in the best of 5s leading up. San Francisco Shock, lost their first round and ended up in the lower bracket. So they've come all the way from lower bracket round 2 with like 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, 3-0 wins to challenge Dallas Fuel in that final there. So congratulations to Shock for making the lower bracket run. I'd be kind of interested to see if this was actually ended up... Oh, actually, it wouldn't matter if it was a double elimination because Dallas still won. In fact, it probably is a double elimination. That's probably just me not reading properly. But yeah, the double elimination format really is interesting to me because it means the team that's come through the the upper bracket has to be beaten twice in the grand final to win. But of course, with Dallas Fuel coming from the upper bracket and winning that, they don't have to win again. So congratulations to Dallas Fuel. I think I was seeing like, what was it, $1 million prize pool? Well, sorry, not prize pool, $1 million for first place, taking that out. So that's not a bad weekend's work. We say it's not a bad weekend's work, but they've been like that's their whole year would have been building to this. So like no surprise that they would have put a lot of work into getting through that. Cool. And as well, we've moved on because the esports awards are up again. So if you want to vote for things like your favorite esports team of the year, favorite esports org, favorite coach, favorite rookies, favorite players, that's all happening at the moment, so you can go to esportsawards.com there and vote on that. I did notice Jess Goat was in there as esports host of the year. So
amazing!
Yeah, was very happy to see her make it in there, and just a few that I recognise, which admittedly I don't tend to recognise a lot of the casters, but yeah, there's a lot that I recognise from the league's coverage that I see there. So really great to see so many faces in there. Yeah, of course you can vote for the game of the year as well, which I'd be interested to see what comes out, because I reckon, I can't remember what won it last year, but maybe it was Dota 2, I want to say.
I can have a quick Google.
But yeah, but esports game of the year, you got League of Legends, Valorant, Counter-Strike, Rocket League, Dota 2, Free Fire, which I haven't heard of, Apex Legends, Rainbow Six, and Fortnite as well. Which, like, as an esports game, I can't imagine Fortnite winning it. Like, I don't... Like, I know it's a popular game, but I don't...
I mean, the esports stuff is pretty huge, but... I was having a chat to somebody on the weekend about this. I think that the esports that are solo, so, 1v1, so like, your TFT, your Fortnite, they don't seem to get as much excitement around them. And I don't know if that's the nature of the game, but there's something about cheering for teams I think people get behind a little bit more.
I think as well, there's like the teamwork dynamic is just makes that, like, anything could happen. Like if your team's gelling well together, like just look at DRX. Like there were so many memes that came out to that about, T1 having these great players and DRX having the power of friendship and stuff
Yes.
like that. But if your team's gelling well on the day and just hitting the shots that it needs to, then I feel that doesn't happen quite as much with the one-on-ones,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's definitely fair. League of Legends won the best esports game last year, so...
Also, I just noticed as well, there's the esports content series of the year as well, and Players is one of those. So if you haven't watched it, Players on Paramount Plus, I think it is. It's this League of Legends mockumentary, and it is so good. It's funny and sad at the same time with some of the things that happen in it, and it's just so good. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it.
I must admit, one of the games that are up for voting for this year for the best esports game of the year, I haven't even heard of before.
Is that Free Fire?
Free Fire. I feel like a fake esports fan over here.
I need to Google it because
before?
I have not.
So
okay, it looks like it's Garena Free Fire. No, I'm not voting for that. It looks like it's a mobile game, so that might be why I
Maybe why
haven't
we
heard
haven't
of it.
heard about it.
So,
Yeah.
Free Fire, also known as Garena Free Fire, is a battle royale game developed by Vietnamese company 111 Studio for Android and iOS. Okay, so
Oh, there you go.
that would be why. So it's a mobile game.
Mm.
But yeah, for sure, if you're interested in that, get along, have a vote for your favorite stuff, for your favorite game. And like there's whole heaps of different stuff like favorite content group. They even break it down into like PC and console rookie of the year and esports player of the year. So there's a whole heap of different categories there. Esports journalists as well. Oh, I have to have a look. I wonder if any ones that I know are in there. Does not look like it. That's okay. I was kind of hoping for maybe some Oz or OCE representatives there, but well, there might be, but I just don't recognise the name. Sorry, I'm going to shut up now because I'm babbling and we should really move on to the next one. Next comment.
Yes.
Hold W and let's go next. So there was something that came up on Twitter. So ESL Australia were recruiting some casters for DH Showdown Valorant. Now, when the casters got announced and everybody realised that they're all from Sydney, it sounds like there was a few people that kicked up a bit of fuss. But to me, it was just like, well, ESL has the studios in Sydney, like their CS:GO coverage, their League of Legends coverage, all happens out of their Sydney studio. So if you've got good candidates in Sydney, why would you go to a different state to look at it? Yeah, like it just sort of makes sense to me that if you're going to be operating out of a studio, you pick the people that are near the studio. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a few comments like, would it have just made sense to only open it to Sydney people and go, but then like if you don't get 5 Sydney people that you want to recruit, you still want to have the option of bringing in someone else. But one of the interesting things for me that spun out of this was the conversations from casters about how you, if you're not in Sydney to be a caster, you're not going to get the big events, because if you want to do a LAN event or if they want a studio event, then it's going to be in a studio somewhere. So why, if you can't make it to the studio, then you're not going to be selected, which is not unusual. Like I've had friends in here with like Western Australia has a performing arts school called WAPA, Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts, and
I love that name.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they've produced some really good talent in terms of musicians and actors and stuff like that. But in fact, I think Heath Ledger might have gone to WAPA. I'm not 100% on that. Don't quote me on it. But you know, so it has produced some really good quality talent. But the minute that they've decided they want to go further, they've left Perth and they've gone to Sydney. And anybody that's wanted to go higher than that has left Australia and gone to the States, because that's where the acting is. That's where the jobs are. And it's the same with esports casting. If you're going to, or even esports players, if you're going to play and cast esports, you need to be where the work is. And like for me, there was no point getting bent out of shape about, oh, they're only selecting Sydney people, and go, well, yeah, because that's where the work is. Yeah. You would have to really stand out as a caster to be selected from a different city.
Yeah. It feels a little mountain over a molehill, and I also potentially get the feeling about this that somebody was picked that isn't one of the cool kids. You know, like every circle has the in crowd and the out crowd, and I think maybe somebody got picked for one of the jobs that isn't you know, one of the cool kids, and so that's where some of the criticism has potentially sprung up from as well. It's a shame because it feels like it's more of a political discussion rather than what it should be, which is encouraging anybody that's genuinely interested in esports to move to Sydney, as far as casting goes.
And let's face it, there's not a lot of money in esports in Australia. So like nobody's going to pay to fly you to Sydney, even from Melbourne or Brisbane every week to be on a broadcast. You know, you would have to be bringing obscene amounts of value to the production for that to happen. And I don't think there's anybody in Australia that brings that level of pizzazz to a production.
Oh, I don't know. What about Mac's moustache? That itself deserves its own production budget.
Could we like somehow separate the mustache from Mac and just get the mustache to cast? Because then we could just like send a parcel post or something and just, you know, there'd be a lot. No.
That would be economical if it was an option. No.
I don't. Somehow I don't think Mac would be on board with that. Like you can see, he's doing Movember at the moment, but there's no way he's shaving that magnificent beast off his face. There, he's doing like exercises and stuff.
No, I think what we were talking about before with this is that it's kind of the nature of LAN coming back as well. You know, with more LAN events, you're going to have more studio-based events as well, studio-based productions. And it's going to just be that way, unfortunately. Unless you're in the right location, you might unfortunately miss out on opportunities. So you've got to do everything in your power to make it right. And I'm not saying it's easy to move. I'm not saying the cost of living in Sydney is okay. It's just, you know, the nature of the beast.
And having to focus on more than one game. Like, because you can't just be, cool, I'm going to be a League of Legends caster. And go, great, what are you going to do for the other, 80% of the year when there's no League of Legends to cast? You have to be proficient in a lot of different games. Like, probably one of the best sort of play-by-play casters, I think, that we've got in Australia, it's got to be Elfish Guy. And you see the stuff that he does. He does World of Tanks. He does CSGO. He does, I think he's pinch hit in some League of Legends stuff. But, like, there are so many games that he covers because if he wants to eat, then he has to cover those. You know? And I don't know about you, Natty, I've been watching League for like 2 or 3 years now, and I still don't understand half of it. Like, I don't know how all these casters just sort of keep these straight in their heads. So mad props to the casters for what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. 1,000,000,000%. It's not an easy job, and I think a lot of people look at it and see the people on TV and think it's glamorous, and they'll become a celebrity and see all those positive things about it, but maybe not the hard effort that all these guys are studying. Like all of them are bringing their notebooks to the desk, so they're prepared for any scenario that pops up. And
that's it.
We're really, really blessed, I think, in Australia to have such amazing talent, considering the amount of money that gets put into esports here, because it's not a lot, and a lot of these people are pursuing casting just out of passion rather than getting decent remuneration for what they're doing.
Yeah, and not just Australia, but New Zealand as well. Like the whole ANZ region, there's some really great casters coming out of New Zealand there as well. So mad props to all those guys, and I can't believe I just said mad props, but that's...
that's okay. You're young at heart, straight.
Kind of. I doubt any young people actually say that anymore, but it's coming from my younger days. But moving on a little bit from that, because one thing that you'll probably see more casters at as well is DreamHack Melbourne, and that's coming back. Ooh. Dates have been announced, 28th to the 30th of April. Oh my God. I think, we were talking before the show, we're booking leave now. We're just, it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Cannot wait, because it's going to be so exciting to see all these esports in the one spot again. And if it's anything like last year, like taking over the Rod Laver Arena and all those arenas down along Melbourne there, it's going to be absolutely magnificent. They've just announced the dates. They haven't announced any games that are going to be there, but of course, surely there's got to be CSGO there. Like, I feel that that's going to be a no-brainer.
Without doubt. We were discussing, whether the dates line up with potentially the mid-season finals for LCO, whether it might line up for World of Tanks mid-season.
Yeah, well, actually, the tanks I didn't even think about, but because I definitely looked at the LCO in depth, and their season normally finished kind of early April, so potentially they could delay it a bit because the MSI doesn't start until sort of early May, but that doesn't leave them much time between the LCO finishing and the winner getting their ticket to MSI. So it might be a bit iffy about getting the LCO there. I was just going to have a look, because when did season 4 of the ANZPL... Why can't I find it? B-League... Premier League season 4. When did that finish? Schedule... Because I get the feeling that was more sort of June that it finished. Yeah, so that was 25th of June, so that's a bit late. So I don't think World of Tanks would get there. But I think Halo's probably got a good chance of getting in there. And maybe now that Overwatch is kicking off, maybe some Overwatch 2?
I think so. And I'd be looking forward to seeing some TFT.
Ooh. It'll be good.
Lots and lots of options. Rocket League, definitely expect that to be there in full force. The options are quite interesting because a lot of our local tournaments aren't necessarily feeder tournaments for international competition. So I think a lot of these other sports esports have flexibility to be able to come along to these dates, which will be cool.
That's it. And I think because a lot of the events, like, they don't have, like, League of Legends is very set in, here's MSI and here's Worlds, and it's always going to happen sort of May, June-ish, or October, November for Worlds. So, like, that is pretty set in stone. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't think that this would suit LCO, but there are so many other things, and they don't have to be, international qualifying events. They could be just for fun. They could maybe they get some IEM stuff in.
Oh, superstar matchups.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool. Be cool to see.
What do they call them? All-star.
Yeah,
All-star
that
games.
one.
That's what I mean. That's proper sporting language.
Yeah. But either way, cannot wait to see DreamHack coming back April 28th to 30th in Melbourne there. So, like this, we were talking about the casting stuff, and Melbourne's getting more and more opportunities as well. Like Fortress Melbourne hosts a lot of events now, and with DreamHack there, it's so you could potentially start to make a living in Melbourne, maybe. Not quite yet, but almost.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, for our lovely friends in Perth, the opportunities are definitely on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And if you're, not in Melbourne or Sydney, I think you're joking yourself.
Yeah.
if you're trying to do anything in the gaming industry, especially, those are the places to be.
As much as I really like the idea of Perth becoming like a hub for esports to compete with Southeast Asia, because you get slightly better ping from Perth to like Singapore than you do from over east. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it might happen if esports gets into the Olympics and that gets started taking more serious by like the AIS and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen too soon anyway.
Yeah.
But that's what we've got to talk to you about this week for Nuts and Bolts. Natty, thanks again for coming along. Been a blast having a chat about all these wonderful esports things.
Always good to catch up straight, and love talking esports with you.
Nice. And love seeing all you people around, whether it's in twitch.tv/GameOnOz or listening to us on one of the podcast platforms. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you all next time.